Welcome back, everyone. Next, we have FendX Technologies, Inc. It trades on the OTCQB under the symbol FDXTF and on the CSE under the symbol FNDX, and is a Canadian-based nanotechnology company focused on developing products to make people's lives safer by reducing the spread of pathogens. Please welcome its CEO, Carolyn Myers. Nice to see you, Carolyn.
Hi, Anna. Thanks for the introduction.
All right, the floor is yours. Call me back when you're ready for questions.
Great. Well, thanks, and it's a pleasure to be here today to introduce you to a company that we founded back in 2020 and licensed technology in early 2021. As Anna said, we are a nanotechnology company. We're actually at the development stage at this point. We're not revenue generating, but we are developing products to, as Anna said, to make people's lives safer by preventing the spread of pathogens. I'm going to provide some forward-looking statements, so I encourage you to read our forward-looking statement, which is here, as well as in our filings with SEDAR+ and also on our website. So as I said, we're a nanotechnology company. We're in the development stage, and we're focused on reducing the spread of pathogens like MRSA, C. difficile, which you may be familiar with. I became interested in this technology at McMaster University back in early 2020 because they were showing some great results in terms of the ability of their nanotechnology to repel or prevent adherence of bacteria to their surface. And you can see here that with viruses, COVID-like viruses, as well as bacteria like MRSA, they've been showing some amazing reductions in adherence of more than 98, 99%. And in addition to that, we have a spray technology, which I'll talk about in a minute, that it also prevents bacteria from growing if any do get on the surface. And on the right here is just a depiction of what a surface looks like when it's uncovered and unprotected, and a surface that it has our nanotechnology on top of it. And why are we interested in doing this? Well, pathogens that are transmitted in hospitals and other high traffic, high touch point locations are very difficult to control. Once they're there, it's hard to control their spread, particularly the ones that that we're focused on, which are surfaces. In the United States alone, more than 99,000 people die annually due to an infection that many of them actually start in a hospital setting, and they're called healthcare associated infections. And this does not include COVID. So this is just related to bacteria and some viruses that people will get in the hospital or in other high traffic locations, and that 99,000 of them die annually. And it costs the healthcare system a significant amount of money, over 28 billion annually in direct medical costs. And part of the reason for this is because most of the bacteria that cause these infections are resistant to antibiotics, and it's very difficult to treat these because there are no antibiotics that work effectively, and so it's a matter of treating the patient so that they can recover using their own immune systems, which can be very costly to the hospital. So that's why we're focused on this, and what we're doing is developing films and sprays using this nanotechnology with the idea of creating protective coatings on surfaces that are prone to contamination in the hopes to be able to contribute to the global efforts to reduce the spread of potentially life-threatening pathogens. So how does it work on surfaces? Well, basically, you can see up here on the top panel, this is a doorknob that's covered with our nanotechnology, either as a film or a spray. And you can see that somebody that has a contamination on their hands, if they touch that surface, it tends not to adhere to the surface. And so if somebody else touches the surface, the bugs are not spread. Whereas in an unprotected situation like the bottom one, the actual bacteria in this case would get transferred to the doorknob and then be potentially transmitted to the next person that touches that surface. So that's how it works. And we hope that, through our technology that we'll be able to, reduce, reduce the spread of these bacteria. So I mentioned hospitals, I mentioned other high traffic locations. Well, there's a lot of them. And obviously healthcare is an environment that a lot of these bugs spread. So that will be an area that we anticipate focusing on when we bring our products to market. But again, as we know, transportation, airplanes, subways, buses, where there's a lot of high traffic, high touch point locations also is an opportunity, as well as sports and entertainment venues. Schools is very much an obvious one, so we will explore that one as an opportunity, as well as office type locations. So let's talk about our film. This is our lead product. And we're calling it Repel Wrap Film. Basically, the way this is made is you take the equivalent of a saran wrap. It's not saran wrap, but we all know saran wrap. And basically, you layer on the chemistry until you get to the point of all the chemistry being layered on it, and then you thermally shrink the film. And through this whole process, what you're doing is you're creating this nano coating on the plastic. And it's that nano coating that is really what prevents the bacteria and viruses from sticking to the surface. And you may know that nanotechnology is very, very, very tiny. To the naked eye, it's 1 billion times smaller than what we can see. But that's where bacteria and viruses live and thrive. And so it's these kinds of surfaces that we believe will help to combat them sticking to the surface, replicating, and then ultimately being transmitted. Okay. So we're pretty excited with what I'm going to tell you now, because we announced it yesterday morning before the market opened, that our Repel Wrap film has been with our manufacturing partner, Dunmore International Corp., which is a operating company of Steel Partners Holding on the New York Stock Exchange, and also a globally recognized film manufacturer, has completed a pilot run of Repel Wrap film on their commercial manufacturing line. And this is a huge milestone for us to achieve at FendX. Essentially, what we started with was a prototype that we licensed from McMaster University, which was essentially the size of a quarter. And what we were challenged with is taking that film, which also took quite a number of hours to produce, to be able to create this roll-to-roll continuous manufacturing process on film within minutes. And so this is what Dunmore has been able to achieve in this pilot run. Our next steps are we'll continue to refine the formula, we'll continue to refine the process. And, as we move forward and we have a film that we believe really does meet our needs, which we're fairly close, then we will do additional testing, and we will test it in real world conditions to confirm that it maintains the properties we want it to prevent bugs from sticking to the surface and ultimately being transmitted. So that's our goal. If everything goes to plan, we are hoping to be able to have a product for a commercial introduction into Canada at the end of the summer, early fall of 2024. So how is Repel Rep film different? I get a question all the time: are there other films out there? How are you different? Why are you unique? And it's because we are the only product that we're aware of that repels everything. Essentially, it repels bacteria, viruses, liquids, blood, etc. The other antimicrobial films that are on the market are metal containing or photoactivated films. And what in those circumstances, the bugs need to stick to the surface, they need to replicate, and then get killed. So if you think about it, they're on the surface, they're replicating, and then they're killed, which means there's potentially a window of time where they can still be transmitted. In the case of our films, they instantly repel. In other words, the bacteria can't stick, or the viruses, and so therefore, if they can't stick, they can't replicate. So we believe that we have a potentially unique as well as potentially disruptive technology in our hands as we move forward. And then again, liquid disinfectants, these are the Lysols, Microban, what your hospitals are currently using to disinfect surfaces. They are short acting. They do not, you spray, you wipe, you've cleaned the surface, but they're short acting. In other words, once it's dry, generally speaking, the surface becomes a vehicle for bacteria and viruses to stick to it. Ours, on the other hand, are 24/7 and can be left in place for a significant period of time. So let me talk a little bit about our spray, because I believe this is a really important addition to our pipeline. Essentially, what the spray does is, or what it will do is, when you spray it onto a surface, it essentially creates a film very similar to Repel Wrap film. And it also shows similar reductions in bacteria and COVID-like adhesion. As you can see here, it's about 98% reduction in both of those. And as I said, it also kills any residual bacteria or viruses on the surface, where we can get to essentially 100% clean surfaces. So, as I said, we are very interested in this as being part of our pipeline, because we believe it potentially will be easier to apply to certain surfaces, and also potentially expand our market applications beyond those that we're focused on with Repel Wrap film. And just before I go on, what I should tell you about Repel Wrap film is the way that, assuming we're successful moving forward and we get to a commercial product, that commercial product will essentially be sheets. So it'll be flat sheets with adhesive on the back of it that you basically peel the lining and you stick it onto flat surfaces, or you can wrap it around railings, etc. That's really what our first product will be. And this spray, as I say, will expand to other form factors, as well as potentially other market applications. It's a big market. I mean, this isn't just films, but the antimicrobial coating market is quite large. And this is the market, when we get to the point of potentially commercializing our product, that we will be entering into. It is estimated that it will be $7.6 billion in 2025. So what else are we doing? So in addition to our film, Repel Wrap film, which is with our manufacturer, and our spray, which is still in early development, we are looking at the formulation and reformulating it as we speak, and the intention is to in the coming months sign an agreement with the manufacturer who can work with us to assess the scale-up opportunities for that spray. But in addition to that, we're also looking at other applications of the nanotechnology, including medical catheters, which I'll talk about in 1 minute, because this one I find is going to be a very interesting project if we are successful at developing a product for commercialization. But we're also exploring partnerships and licensing acquisition opportunities. I'm going to talk about our team in a minute and just a little bit about myself, but I have a very strong background in M&A and licensing. So partnering and licensing, acquiring is really near and dear to my heart. So we're going to look at potential products that are complementary to what we're doing today. That is to protect the transmission of bugs and add it to our pipeline or potentially have accretive products. The partnerships, we've had a number of companies contact us with regard to interest in our nanotechnology. And so we are looking at those opportunities and we're assessing them as we speak, and we'll see if we end up getting into any of those as we move forward. And the other part of our growth strategy is we're going to expand beyond Canada. Once we launch in Canada, we will then launch in the United States and then other markets around the world. So just a little bit about the catheter that's in development. This is very early, but McMaster University has shown that if they cover the plastic of similar to catheters with the nano coating, that they see significant reduction, over 90% in MRSA and Pseudomonas aeruginosa. Additionally, they see that they have a huge reduction in blood sticking to the surface as well. So what we're hoping we're going to be commencing this project hopefully soon, what we're hoping is that we can get to a point where we can actually create catheters with this nano coating inside of it to prevent bacteria from sticking to the surface and growing, and blood from sticking to the surface and creating blood clots. As you may know, in long-term indwelling catheters, bacterial biofilm or colonies and blood clots are the culprits for causing catheter occlusion. And many times these catheters are inserted surgically, and they'll do whatever they can to try and get rid of the occlusion, but many times they have to remove the catheters and put a new one in. So there definitely is a need for a catheter that can reduce biofilm formation and blood clotting that cause occlusions, and we hope as we move forward that we'll be successful in creating a catheter that will meet those needs. We're using a very efficient operating model. We're not planning to launch products ourselves. We are going to work with sales distributors, and also we will work with third-party manufacturers to manufacture our products. First of all, help us with assessment to scale up, and then ultimately help us and support us in the manufacturing. The reason for this is we do want to be cost effective in our approach and be able to bring in products and technology that we can develop, and with the idea of bringing more products to market. So my team, I'm Carolyn Myers, as Anna she introduced me. I have a significant amount of experience in the pharmaceutical industry in growing and leading businesses. I've been the president of 2 different pharmaceutical companies, one of them a revenue generating company where we grew EBITDA by more than 25% year over year while I was there. And I've also been the president of a film manufacturing company, transdermal products, where you actually put drugs on the surface of the films to be administered through the skin. So I have a lot of experience in this area. And in addition to that, I've been in a few large cap companies, which are listed here. And in my tenure with myself and my teams, has launched over 25 products in the US and globally, as well as done more than 50 M&A and licensing deals in my tenure. Andrea Mulder is my COO. We've known one another a very long time. And when I started FendX, I actually reached out to Andrea because we had worked together in Toronto at a company called Pharmacia. and she decided she wanted to join the company, and we've never looked back. It's a great partnership. She is the operator, no doubt. She herself and her teams have launched over 10 products in the Canadian market. And, her as the operator, myself as the business strategist, visionary, and leading the company forward. Our roles we work very synergistically together. And it's a testament to our success when we started the company to now, and how we've grown the company. And Rose Zanuck is my CFO. She has tremendous amount of experience as a CFO working with private and public companies. She's also supported companies going public. She was incredibly supportive as we moved to go public in the Canadian market on the CSE. And she has a lot of securities background as well, and just a well-versed business person that really fits well with our team. And I just want to say, our C-suite, we're all women, which is unusual, but exciting. And then the board of directors, Stephen Randall, he comes with a wealth of experience in the on the financial side. He was with Titan for many years, so he knows the business. He understands how to move businesses forward, grow them, et cetera. So he's a great mentor and support for the company, and he heads up our audit committee. And there, Pierre Szilard is an attorney. He's actually a securities attorney, but also has tremendous experience in industry, and provides a lot of support as it relates to our governance, as it relates to, as we move forward and grow the company in many aspects. So we have a really, really good, strong team. And then there's the team at McMaster. They've been so collaborative and involved in our company. And we thank them very much, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be where we are today. And last, I just want to close with our share structure. I mean, I don't need to really read through this. You can see it. But the thing I wanted to point out is that we have a very straightforward and tight cap table. And as you can see, about 54% of our common shares are subject to escrow or pooling restrictions. And this is the management of the company as well as our early investors, which is a testament to the fact that we are very focused on and committed to growing this business and making it successful. So with that, I'm going to stop, and I will pass it back to you, Anna.
Great job, Carolyn. Yes. You also mentioned you're able to automate Repel Wrap film in a pilot run on your manufacturing partners' commercial manufacturing equipment. So what exactly did this entail, if you can break that down for me? And tell me about some of the challenges you faced.
Well, it's a good question. I'll talk about the challenges first. Again, if you recall, we started with a quarter-size film. It's the size of a coin, and the challenge was, how do we take that, reduce the production time significantly to create rolls of film of the product? And it took us 1.5 years, probably close to 2 years, to do reformulation, et cetera, of the product to be able to get to the point we are today. We're not ready to go into commercial production yet. We do want to do some more refinement of the formulation and the process, but we, just by virtue of being able to get from this coin-sized film to sheets, like thousands of feet of sheets of coated film, is a real testament to our ability to move this business forward and be successful.
Thank you for that. Sorry, I muted myself. Thank you for that. Also, tell me, where do you anticipate conducting this real world condition testing of the film you created in the pilot run? And maybe how long will that take to prove out the repelling properties of the film?
Yeah, excuse me. So once we have a film that is ready for prime time, that is real world conditions testing, we have identified a few different companies, locations that we want to test the film. What's key is to test it in conditions that will confirm that it remains confirms that it has the repelling properties or the adherence, the reduced adherence. And so we're looking at putting it in high traffic locations like push doors, other high touch traffic locations like doorknobs, et cetera, to see how this works over time. We anticipate the studies they won't be exceptionally long. They'll probably be a total of 2 months. That will leave 1 to 2 months. We'll leave the films in place, and then we'll take the films and we'll test them to confirm that they still have the repelling properties we want them to have. So mostly high touch traffic locations. As I say, we have a few folks in mind, companies that are interested in doing this testing for us. So when we're ready for that, I anticipate it's probably going to be 2-3 months.
Perfect. Gerald Rogers asks, would this be something that would be an interest to a company like 3M, maybe on a licensing standpoint?
Absolutely. I mean, that 3M is definitely a company that could potentially be interested in this down the road once we get to the commercialization phase. I live in the U.S. and been doing a lot of M&A and licensing, as I mentioned, and 3M is definitely on the list. I mean, there are other companies too, like Stryker, for example. Stryker has a $1 billion PPE department that focuses on hospitals, and they could be very interested in this product as well to distribute it in hospitals for us in the United States. We have not gotten to the point of talking to them because we want to make sure we have a product that will meet our needs, and we're close, as I say, and then we'll start talking to potential partners.
And can you talk a little bit about your lab? Joe Lawson wants to understand how you're developing. Do you have a lab? And can you talk about your facilities?
Well, as I said, we're using a very fiscally responsible approach here, and most of the R&D work that we've been doing is through McMaster. We have signed collaborative research agreements with McMaster specifically for our films and spray projects, and we brought on board postdocs and technicians to be able to support those programs, and they work 100% on our programs at McMaster under the lead of the two inventors of the nanotechnology, as well as in collaboration with ourselves. So that's how that piece works. And then Dunmore, who is our manufacturer, they have both an R&D lab as well as commercial manufacturing, and they work with other companies that are at this stage of development. Dunmore did our initial assessment of scale up and adapted the formula to their machinery. And they did that in their R&D labs in collaboration with ourselves and McMaster, and that's how we were able to get to the point that we're at today in terms of that pilot run. And we have not signed a manufacturing agreement at this point, but that would be the next step once we finish our work with Dunmore to then move into the manufacturing, move into a manufacturing agreement and commercial production.
And Noel wants to know, when will the technology be predominantly applied at the manufacturing level or aftermarket by consumers?
I'm not sure I totally understand the question.
Maybe talk a little bit, yes, more about the technology and how it is applied.
So, as I mentioned, the film will be the finished product. Once we get to that point, will be a flat film with an adhesive backing. So it can be applied to flat surfaces, as well as it can be wrapped around like railings, things like that. That's the idea, which are, I mean, push doors, as I say, railings, both of which are prone to contamination. So that's what the plan is. At the end of the day, who are going to be the end users? It's going to be hospitals. So we'll and this will be through the distributors. The distributors will sell directly to the hospitals, and then we'll have other distributors that are selling into the entertainment area, into arenas, into schools, etc. That will be partnering with to be able to get our products into those locations as well. Hopefully that answered the question.
Yes, and Dom asks, will the spray have the ability to kill the pathogens or bacteria, or will it simply repel it?
The spray is bifunctional. It has the same repelling properties as the film, but it also kills any residual bugs that may attach to the surface. And so what McMaster has shown is a reduction in the biofilm formation of close to 100%, 99.98%.
And Rose Ruiz wants you to describe the wrap a little bit more. Is it going to be form-fitting to any surface and shape?
No, it won't be. It's really going to be it is somewhat flexible, but it's not something that's going to go on a doorknob per se. Most of the films that are in the market cannot go on doorknobs. We believe that our film will provide that opportunity to go on doorknobs, and potentially we would be the first to provide a product or a film that is applied differently to those kinds of form factors. Most of the films, including our film, Repel Wrap film, will be, as I say, more for flat surfaces, as well as you can wrap it around a pole or a railing or things like that. But that's the extent, because once you start trying to wrap it around a doorknob, it just doesn't apply, and it's not flat around the doorknob. There's creases and stuff.
And Les Powell says, without going into projections, do you have a revenue model in mind, specifically addressing wholesale, retail, any pre-orders for the film or the spray yet?
We do not have pre-orders. Again, we're still at that development stage. As I say, we just announced yesterday our pilot run. So we do not have pre-orders. We are working on, with our manufacturer, our cost of goods. Because now we've been able to show that we can automate it. And again, we want to refine it to some degree. So we'll be working on cost of goods. We'll be working on, what we ultimately will price it at. And then, to get the most optimal margin as possible. And then, and also what's going to be what the appetite is of the end user as well in terms of pricing. So those are the things that we're working on now.
And how do you imagine the product will be sold? You mentioned you'll be seeking a distributor. So will you also sell direct to consumer or retailer?
We are not going to sell to the consumer, the film anyway. We're not going to sell it to consumers or to the retail sector at this point. The potential exists. We could sell it to the retail sector if we better understand who's distributing in that channel, but it isn't something that we have explored yet. At the end of the day, bacteria are everywhere. They're on every surface. And, the question is, and I think because of COVID, we're way more conscious of the fact that there are bugs out there that are really lethal. And I don't know about you, but I'm much more conscious of hygiene, and I tend not to touch anything anymore, just because I know what's on the surface. And having products that can protect surfaces from contamination, et cetera, would be highly beneficial. And again, they're everywhere.
Right.
So there's a lot. At the end of the day, there's a lot of verticals. What's important to us is to focus on the ones that make the most sense to us, and at least initially, and then expand beyond that.
Perfect. Well, Carolyn, do you have any closing remarks for your presentation today?
No, I just want to say thank you, and thank you everybody for participating today. Great questions, and Anna, thanks again. Appreciate it.
Great job. We look forward to having you on again in the future, Carolyn. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, everyone, stay with us. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back at 1:10 Eastern with NeuroSense Therapeutics. And then the following company, Cotis Therapeutics, they have rescheduled for our November conference. So stay tuned. We'll be back at 1:10 Eastern with NeuroSense.